This is a walk-around video of a 1969 BMW R69US. US models were made from 1967 to 69 for the R69US. They made about 1,000 of these bikes over that 3-year span, about 430 in this model year of 1969. The difference in the 69 US and the 69S that was made before this was a change in the fork. They went to a telescopic fork, hoping to drive more business in the US and update the fork a little bit. Really, the telescopic forks and the fender brace, the front fender, a little bit higher steering stem. They came with a 4.0 rear tire on the back and a higher gear ratio. But besides that, it's basically the same bike as the other R69Ss. Just about 90% of the bike or more is interchangeable. This one was purchased 6 years ago. I helped a client pick up this bike and went through it at that time. I'll talk about that in more detail later. He got it out of Wisconsin, but its previous history before it was in Wisconsin was in Arizona where we are, and it was actually the father-in-law's bike before he sold it to his son-in-law. So it does have some history. It has about 38,700 miles on it right now. At 34,000, it did have a complete engine out rebuild and inspection, and I'll show you some of the parts from that later in this video. But right now, we'll take a look at the bike. It's in really nice shape. I did just go through it again after it had been basically a display model for the last 5 years again. In the last, let's see, 8 years or so, it's basically been on static display at different owners. It does have the US reflectors on the ears of the headlight. It does have the US handlebars. Has the Hella turn signals. It does have a really clean sport tank, factory sport tank. There is a little scratch on the other side that I'll show. It is believed to be original paint, frame and all. Engine is a really good running engine, as you can see in the driving video that I've done. Really, most of these components are original components. Just a lot of update maintenance from sitting. Try to point out some of the flaws. There are holes right here. That's for the R69S logo that was on here, and it's really not a R69S, it's a US. So they do make plugs that'll plug those holes, and I do have the R69S if somebody did want to run that on it. It also has this nice Denfield bread loaf passenger seat. You see down here, I'll get a close up, there is a scratch on the rear fender and a little bit of a divot on the back there. The exhaust is exceptionally nice. It was a new old stock exhaust that was put on both sides, and that was done during the rebuild. But really no issues with the bike. You could get on this and ride it just about anywhere you'd want to. Show you the scratch on the front that I'm talking about, if I can get it in here. It is right there. Otherwise, the tank is impeccable. As you can see, a little bit hard filming it because the paint is so nice. It shows reflections of everything. But it does have the correct 91 and 92 carburetors. I'll explain that story a little bit later too. Those are the factory ones, but when I did the restoration, bringing it out of storage, the 91 carb, the left carb wasn't in the best shape. So I did actually order from Bing, but they told me it was the last 91 carb for this bike. So that's a quick walk around. As I said, I did mention that the engine was rebuilt, and just for some information, I know a lot of people are asking about BMW parts, and specifically on any of the /2s about the slingers or R69Ss, I should throw in there too. But so these are the parts that you'll see usually if you pull out and do a whole engine rebuild. It is completely taking the crank out, the cam out, everything out of the engine. So it's not an easy task, but not too bad either. So these right here, these are the 6203 bearings, and that's what goes on the crank, on the camshaft, front and back. These are the notorious slingers. And the interesting thing about the slingers is they just sling oil into this little ridge here, and that's what acts as a filtration system for the oil. There is no filtration system on the older /2 and R69US bikes. These right here, those are the main bearings for the crank. That's a generator on the end of the crank bearing. Those are the pistons that were taken out with the wrist pins. And the two valves, the valve seats were worn, so those came out, and the tappets had slight wear on the ends. So those were cleaned up too. And so if anybody has questions about the slingers, hopefully now they have a better idea what the slingers actually are. If you have questions, please let me know in the comments section so everybody else can see them, and hopefully I can answer questions for everybody at once. Thank you.